All right, Joshcast. Okay, I can do this. Feeling, I don't know, lately, the last 2 days, just a lack of motivation. I don't like that feeling. I want to wake up every morning with a can-do attitude. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, can-do attitude. File those papers for me, Jenkins. Can do, boss. Can do attitude. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Jenkins, I want you to fall into a depression and not be able to get out of it for 6 to 8 months. Can do, boss. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Can do attitude. I'm watching parents taking their kids to school. That was a really creepy sentence that I just said. Very creepy. How do you say that without sounding like a creep? Not sure. What was the point I was even trying to make by bringing that up? Do I want to have kids? Do I want to have kids? That's a tough one. I might want to have kids if I'm living under the right conditions, which are as follows. Number 1, I'm not broke. Number 2, I am comfortable with what I'm doing with my career. Number 3, I've left my apartment to actually talk to some girl and actually have a relationship. Number 4, climate change is reversed. Number 5, I've created a way to make everyone in my family invulnerable, and I don't have to worry. So as long as those conditions are met, let's do it. I'm seeing an ambulance in the distance. Can't be a good thing. It's never a good thing when the lights are flashing. It's usually an emergency. It's never a good emergency. Somebody call 911. We've got too much cake. Oh, man. And that's the end of the podcast. Nope, I got to keep going. Got to power through. Got to power through this malaise. Got to power through this malaise. This feeling. What's that song? Da da ba bum ba da 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 ba da. Is that Lady and the Tramp? It might be Lady and the Tramp. Doing a live action Lady and the Tramp. How is that? It's not, is it a live action? They actually sat there with 3 months with real dogs, and now they're just superimposing dialogue over the dogs' mouths. That's what we're doing now. Just re-release the cartoon. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around remakes like this. I can't do it. The other one I want to see that's not a remake that I'm aware of is Ad Astra. But I heard from a fairly reliable source that it was not good. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. The fairly reliable source, I don't know. Like, I am, like my father, a non-fair weather sci-fi fan. Like, if there's a spaceship in it, it doesn't matter how bad the movie is, I'm there. As long as it's a good-looking spaceship, not even a good-looking spaceship, as long as there's a ship, I'm on board. That movie Supernova with James Spader, that was considered an absolute clunker. I think it came out at like 99 or something. Have I seen it multiple times? Yes. Yes, I have. There was a ship in it. I'm on board. It was a cool ship. It traveled faster than light, which is cool. But everybody had to go into these pods while it was traveling faster than light. That was not cool. I don't like that. Nope, I want my faster than light spaceships to be comfortable, where you don't have to do anything crazy. It's like the Enterprise. I want to be able to start to sip some tea, have the ship go to warp, continue sipping the tea, and be fine. And it's no big deal. That's when I'll go to space. Until then, I'm going to skip space. But don't you want to see what the Earth looks like from outer space? I've got a good enough view right here, and let me tell you something. It's enough. Yeah, I'd love to explore the universe comfortably. I was spoiled by Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's how you explore the universe. In a giant hotel. Not like what they're doing now, which is basically it's like a minivan that's on top of a rocket. That's pretty much what it is. It's a flying Ford Aerostar, basically. Circling back to my podcast yesterday about the name Ford Aerostar. Well, here we go. This is quite the little conversation with myself I'm having, isn't it? I dare say, isn't it? See, I just passed by this car. I don't even know how to describe the color. It's kind of like a rust brown, I want to say. Oh, I guess I do know how to describe the color. Okay. A rust brown color. And I don't know why. Is that color necessary? Well, they come in black, they come in blue, they come in red, they come in turquoise, they come in pink. What about rust brown? What about the color of a sink that hasn't been washed in 20 years? Where's that color? Who was the guy in that focus group who said he wanted that specific color? What's the cover? I want the color of a relatively healthy liver. How about that? Why aren't you offering that color of vehicle, sir? Or madam? Because the person who wants the rust-colored car, I feel like, is pretty quote-unquote woke to gender identity and wouldn't just say, hey, sir. And he knows that even if the person running the focus group is a guy, all the people behind the glass, there's probably a lot of men and women. So he would be constantly saying madam or sir just to keep it gender neutral. How did this turn into a gender politics thing? I don't know how. I'm not entirely sure how it did, but I'll tell you something. My Batman friend. Yeah, Batman villain. Those are the best characters to play. The Batman villains. And the Batman, I think, has the best villains. Got the Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler, Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, depending on which iteration of the franchise you are watching. Deathstroke's fun. Great name there. Great assassin name. I gotta say, the classic villains, I don't know if they've ever... Can they top the classic villains? There's something like Deathstroke, I think, came later and is a much more modern incarnation of a villain. But I just feel like if Deathstroke faced off against the Penguin, somehow the Penguin's going to win. There's just something about those old school villains. And it's going to end with Penguin saying, "You never anticipated my poison-tipped hummingbirds, did you?" which is directly from an episode of Batman the Animated Series, I believe. And Deathstroke would not have anticipated that, because only the Penguin would think to use poison-tipped hummingbirds. Only the Penguin would have dive-bombing kestrels that no one can plan for. Dive-bombing kestrels? How are we supposed to keep up with this? It takes Batman to go, did you check for kestrels? No, we didn't. We didn't check for kestrels, Batman. We didn't. Because we're just normal human beings, okay? We didn't check for kestrels. Am I even right about kestrels? I think so. I think I'm right. Yeah, I don't know. So how do you create an old school villain then? Or how to create a villain that is in the league of Penguin and Two-Face and what have you? I think the other thing, if you look at all of them, the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, even sort of the Riddler, don't they all fall somewhat into that 1930s gangster thing where the gangsters have these nicknames? Dick Tracy, I remember, especially in the Dick Tracy movie, like all the bad guys were, had these nicknames, and they just were hyper exaggerated version of, Nicky the Nose. And so really, when you strip it back, the layers, yes. But when you strip it back, the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face could all be, if you take the fantastical elements out of it, the Joker is just a serial killer, basically, or a mob enforcer with a crazy laugh. The Penguin is just a short, fat mobster. Two-Face, either a guy with pockmarks or a guy who got burned. So that maybe the reason why I like them is that they're all rooted a little bit in reality, and there's always a psychological underpinning that is also kind of rooted in reality, or can be. So at least certain comic book artists have done that. And I don't know. I see that. And listen, I know there's a lot of Spider-Man fans out there, but I just don't think their rogues gallery, like the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin. And don't get me wrong, Willem Dafoe, great Green Goblin. Like he, nailed it. But isn't it really just kind of the same as the Joker? A. And B, why is he dressing like a goblin again? Like I remember in the movie, he had it had a bunch of masks. Wasn't it in the movie? He had a bunch of masks. And was one of the masks just the mask that happened to be a goblin mask that he just ended up using, or did he build the goblin mask off of the mask? Did he use that mask as a template for the Green Goblin mask? I can't remember exactly, but it was almost like, now that I think of it, it felt like he's looking at this bunch of masks on his wall as he's going insane with the gas made him go insane. And one of the masks just happens to be the perfect mask that fits with the rest of his costume that he built. But I think he'd already built the costume, right? I don't know. I remember the movie Green Goblin, like I loved Willem Dafoe in it, but just some of the things around it, like he's trying to do a super soldier program, and all of the accoutrement that comes with the super soldiers already was sort of felt a little Green Goblin themed before he became the Green Goblin. Like we have this sled, this rocket-powered sled, and this super soldier suit that happens to be green, and these bombs that happen to look like pumpkins. I think he wanted to be the Green Goblin before the gas. That's what I think. That's my theory with him. I think he wanted to be the Green Goblin before the gas. And then when people were asking, well, did the gas make you go nuts and make you turn into the Green Goblin? Yeah, exactly. Yes. Absolutely. I was not at all planning on being the Green Goblin before the gas. No, before the gas, I was 100% sane. It's kind of like how in the original Transformers cartoon, we see Optimus Prime before he comes to Earth, and he already looks like he can transform into an Earth truck. Reason being, they had to model all the characters off of existing toys. But it already looked like... And it's supposed... Because in the context of the story in the cartoon, they fly away from Cybertron. It's millions of years ago. They crash land on Earth. They wake up on Earth in 1984. And then they scan the vehicles around them and transform into them. But when you look at Optimus Prime, he's got the truck windows on his chest, and he's got the exhaust things coming out of his shoulders before, when he, millions of years ago. And I think the cartoon was fine, and they just, I think, kind of ignored it, or maybe they didn't really talk about it. They should have embraced it. There just should have been a scene where he wakes up. It's millions of years later. Millions of years later. And he's looking around, and he sees this truck, and he's like, that looks exactly like me. How is that possible? I don't know. Just scan it and turn into it. I don't need to scan it. It already looks like me. How did this happen? This is creeping me out. No, it's a coincidence. It can't just be a coincidence. They ripped me off. How do they rip me off? Optimus, we're in the middle of a war here. Nobody is ripping off anybody. I think we got bigger issues. But how? Look at that. Like it's exactly me. They're doing me. They're doing Prime. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. I need to think about this for a second. Well, Optimus, why does it matter? Now, okay, great. It'll make you easier to blend in. No, this is not great. I feel robbed here, okay? I feel like I've been violated. I feel like I've been violated. You haven't been violated, what's wrong with Optimus? He's flipping out because there's a truck that looked like him. Does it look like him? Yeah, it's creepy. It looks exactly like him. Well, isn't that weird? Well, I mean, haven't we got bigger problems? All right, I just drove by. I got to interrupt this brilliant sketch. I drove by this auto repair center just now, and the E in the sign of repair has fallen off. Great advertising. Perfect. Excellent. That does not inspire confidence. My goodness. That's not good. That's like a dentist who walks in and says, well, I'm going to help you out today, and then two of his front teeth fall out right then and there. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh, glaucoma. That was what a teacher of mine said when they were making fun of Oklahoma. Oh, glaucoma. At one point to someone, that was funny. I just had a flashback now of middle school, of running lights during the middle school play, which they turned the library into the theater. It was a cool space that they did, actually. It was cool that they did that back then, because they had a new library, and they turned the old one into a theater that was sort of like the audience was, it was a curved audience with a stage. It was neat, actually, now that I think about it. the middle school arts program that I had was really quite good. Because the theater guy was good, and then there was the art guy was good. And we did this one project where we had to take paintings and write a scene about the paintings. And I remember in the group I was in, they gave us a Degas, I don't know, guy who painted the ballerinas. And so we wrote a scene about the ballerinas, but the joke was they were about to go bowling. They were stretching because they were going to go bowling. And at the time, I thought that was the funniest sketch that had ever been written ever. And then I learned that Degas was an absolute pervert, and these women were being horribly exploited. And now I feel guilty. So that's a great end to that story. Terrific end to that story, I would say. Terrific end. That story had an absolute terrific end. Oh, here it's happening. Passing by this, looks like a maintenance truck with a bunch of stuff in it. Bunch of supplies, fencing, that kind of stuff. I always get nervous driving behind those because I'm always afraid they're going to fall apart right in front of me and a piece of fencing is going to impale me. That is always my concern. That is always my concern. That is always my concern. Well, we're getting closer to our destination here now, and this turned into something. I enjoyed myself during this podcast. I was able to let go, man. I was totes able to let go. Totes my goats able to let go. So that's nice. And without... I was able to let go and just have fun. What a concept. What an absolute concept that is. Truly, it's an absolute concept. Fun. My God, man, fun. What are you discussing? Fun. Ha! Pshaw. Pshaw, sir, I say. Pshaw. Uh-oh, the cleaning where I need to drive. This might be tricky. He's nodding to me, as if to say, you're messing up my groove, man. You're messing up my groove. I'm trying to clean the streets, and you're driving over my hose. You're driving over my hose! What's the matter with you? Well, there's a podcast for you.